Hi again, everybody. Today I want to talk about charitable donations. And the reason why I picked this as our first topic is because it impacts so many of us, right? A good portion of us are donating to a church or to St. Jude or maybe a local shelter or animals, right? There's tons of different animal organizations. Whoever you're giving money to, there's a good chance that it qualifies as a tax deduction. Now, it used to be you had to itemize in order to do that, and I won't get into all the details on that, but for the most part, that's not many of us anymore. For the most part, we're using what's called the standard deduction, right? So you never got to write off your charitable donations. Well, going forward, you maybe be able to. And here's why that matters, right? Because more deductions means less you're going to pay in tax. But there are certain things we have to know in order to make that happen. So, first, let's talk about what counts. If you're giving, like I mentioned in my little intro here, if you're giving to churches, if you're giving to St. Jude, if whatever recognized organization, what's a recognized organization? A 501c3. What doesn't count? If you are giving $20 to somebody on GoFundMe, right, that's probably not going to count. They even filled out all that paperwork with the IRS. If you buy a box of Girl Scout cookies, right, they are delicious. Trust me, I've eaten my share of Girl Scout cookies. They don't count because you're getting something in return for your money, right? This has to be a pure donation. And if we give cash or if we give goods, right? A lot of people like to drop off bags to Goodwill, that sort of thing. Those things are what counts. So now going forward, since the rules have changed, we kind of need to know what rules we're playing by while we're still in the year. If you find this out when you do your tax return in 2027 for 2026, you're already too late. So that's why I wanted to talk about this today. And so starting for this year, if you donate to a recognized organization, you can write up off to a certain dollar amount of cash donations. Cash is the key word here. If you're still dropping that bag off to Goodwill, that's not going to count if you don't itemize. Now, if you itemize, those rules change too. But there's a lot of math involved in it now, and it's kind of tedious. And guys, we're not mathing. We're not mathing today. So just know that if you do itemize, your rules have changed too. But contact your tax professional on that. Hey, I know one, but there's a good chance, guys, that you can save more money. So if you've never paid attention, if you don't, if you just throw cash in the plate at church because you go, well, I can't write that off anyway, whatever the case may be, you're going to start to want to round up all of your receipts because at the end of the year, you can now write off up to a certain dollar amount. And I keep saying a certain dollar amount because it depends on if you're single, if you're married, head household, that, there's rules for everything. You know how that stuff goes. But the key point I want you to take away from all this is hang on to your receipts. If you'd like to donate, know that it's going to matter. You will probably get some benefit from cash donations for 2026. And one last thing I wanted to touch on, if you have a required minimum distribution from a retirement account, this is for my folks that are of a certain age, a little bit older. But if you have an RMD, as everybody calls them, and you know what that means if you were getting them. So if you have an RMD, and you don't know what a QCD is, you may want to. That's a qualified charitable distribution. I'm not going to get too far into the weeds. I just threw a whole bunch of nerd words at you, right? But if you have an RMD, you should be looking into QCDs because you can save a lot of money on taxes by doing that. If you're giving money away to organizations and you have these required distributions, there's a way to avoid tax. So, that was kind of the topic today. That's what I wanted to discuss. As always, please drop a comment, reach out any way you want to. Give us a call at the office. Find us on the internet at advantagetaxaccounting.com. Go to our Facebook page and let me know what other topics you guys want to know about, because that is the entire point of this series, is to make sure that we're giving you guys information that we think will benefit you not just when we do your tax return, but throughout the year. Because together, we think we have the advantage.